Thank you. More and more, we're seeing solar panels on homes in Arlington. Now, that's kind of an unusual sight, but it is starting to take hold, that trend. Lots of people think that solar panels are out of their reach financially, but my guest here today is going to tell you how you, as individual homeowners, can have solar in your house. Welcome, Rustom.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Now, Rustom, you are an innovator and an entrepreneur. You started a company called YetiSolar. Can you tell me a little bit about your indoor solar lighting?
Sure. So the idea is pretty simple, that a lot of places where the grid doesn't reach, it's going to be easier to put a solar light into place than it would be to, run power lines for a few miles. And additionally, there are a lot of people who are interested in having lighting that is more sustainably based in terms of its energy source, and also something that is adding an extra layer of reliability so that during a power outage they have light and potentially some other power options that are still running.
Well, and that's the thing, you don't have to consider solar and in a way of having it power your own home, but you can think about having a solar light in maybe your living room or in your bedroom, places where, you're going to be in the evening and you might want that light to reliably be available, right?
Right, and there's a really big difference between having no power and having, a small amount of power, right? So putting solar on your whole house is great, obviously, if you can afford to do that. But even there, then you have a grid interconnect and you don't have any kind of energy storage. So you're still not able to have any kind of extra reliability.
Well, I've seen your lights, and they're very stylish and elegant. In fact, the sconces, you would think that they were regular electric powered light, but the safety issue is something that I think you really need to stress. So how much light can you reliably get if you're charging all day?
Okay, so in the lower 48, which is most of us, right, you can get 4 to 5 hours a day of the equivalent standard power. So if you have a 20-watt panel, then it's going to generate 80 to 100 watts in a given day in the continental US, and then that's going to be enough. LEDs are extremely efficient. So for example, my kind of flagship kit, which is called the Light Portal, that can run for about 4 hours a day on high mode or 8 hours a day on low mode. And the high mode is basically the light equivalent of two 60-watt incandescent bulbs. The low mode is one. And then, of course, if you drain the battery completely, you can do significantly more than that, but it takes a couple days to charge back up again.
So if you really need it, it's reliable energy. Now, it's comparing apples to oranges when you think about comparing electricity to solar power, but tell me about the energy savings.
Okay. So, basically, a solar lighting system is not an energy-saving light bulb. I really like that people are starting to understand more about efficiency and things like lumens per watt as a result of energy-saving light bulbs. But when you go to get a solar lighting system, you're buying something different. If you are doing it to replace an existing fixture, right, and then you say, okay, well, how long is it going to take before the energy that I saved paid for this system? Well, that's a very long time, because that's a kind of an energy-saving light bulb way of looking at it, right? But if you say, okay, well, I have a lake cottage, and there's no electricity there, so I can either get the power company to run an extra 2 miles of power lines to my lake cottage, or I can put in a small solar system with some
So
lighting
this
and
is
stuff.
about reliable energy. This is reliable, sustainable energy. I just want to make sure our viewers understand that it may be easier to put this type of lighting system in new construction, but your system works in any home. You can retrofit, correct?
Right, right. So in fact, the kits are designed by and large for retrofitting. If someone is building a new structure, frequently they ask me to do a custom design for them. And again, if you're building off-grid, usually to run power lines would cost tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if all you need is some pretty basic stuff as far as lighting and a few other power options, maybe charge a cell phone, this and that, you can do that for hundreds of dollars. So that's, you know, in that way, what you were talking about before, apples to oranges, that's a big savings.
Well, I just hope that my viewers get the opportunity to go to your website. It's YetiSolar.com.
Yeah.
And I want to remind you, my darling, that for Valentine's Day, instead of candlelight, I hope you'll consider solar lighting. Thanks for watching The Sustainable Scoop. I'm Miriam Gennari. Back to the news desk.